thank you so much for joining us at the Annual Awards of Excellence. I'm Richard Larkin, I know some of you, and I'm the General Manager of the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts. As many of you know, the Annual Awards of Excellence is our award for kitchen, pastry and service professionals in the age bracket of 20 to 26. Although we're delighted, obviously, if people want to watch this and get some inspiration for the future. Becoming a winner, an AAE winner, has propelled many a young career over the years with household names such as Nathan Outlaw, Mark Sargent, Luigi Canyon, Master of Culinary Arts, Claire Clark, MCA, along with many others. And it's a great foundation for your chosen profession. So today, we're lucky enough to be joined by Gabriella Cungo. And before I do so, I'd like to introduce you some of our category chairmen. So firstly, Yolandi Stanley, MCA, and Sarah Hartnett are the pastry. So Yolandi, I can see you there. And service, we're graced with the presence of John Cousins and Sergio Rebecci today. So we've got you both in. Good to see you here. And then kitchen, we've got Martin Nail and Harold Jones. And given the situation with kitchens opening, needless to say that they're pretty busy and they're not here today. I'm sure they'll see it on record. Now that we've covered the introductions, I just want to remind anyone who's watching us to not forget to enter the Annual Awards of Excellence Lockdown Awards. Now this year, inevitably, it's a little different from the standard year. Your task is to share with us something that you feel proud of, that you've achieved during your time in lockdowns in that long year since March last year. It could be anything from additional work activities you've undertaken, voluntary work, or developing your knowledge or learning a new skill. So any of those things, please email Daniel at royalacademyofculinaryarts.org.uk. That's Daniel at royalacademyofculinaryarts.org.uk with your entry. And ideally, you want to do that before the deadline of the 2nd of June, at which point we'll go through them all and the winners will be announced by our honorary president of the Annual Awards of Excellence, that's Jason Atherton, on the 7th of July this year. So that's our iteration, our version of the Annual Awards of Excellence for this year. So remember, 2nd of June is the cutoff for that, and the announcements on the 7th with Jason Atherton, 7th of July. While I'm here, I'm just going to thank some of our wonderful sponsors without whose help none of this would be possible. First of all, Act Clean, then Berkman, Wine Cellars, Maple from Canada, Champagne Laurent Perrier, Malden Sea Salt, the Savoy Educational Trust, Woods Food Service, WPA Healthcare, the Caterer Magazine, and the Staff Canteen. So thanks to all of our sponsors. And before we start the interview, if anyone's got any questions for our speaker, please use the chat feature with the everyone setting so we can all see it. And we'll go through them at the end and ask those questions for our guest. So that's the preliminaries conducted. And I'd now like to introduce our guest, Gabriella Cungo, the Annual Awards of Excellence 2015 Young Pastry Chef of the Year. Now, Gabriella, you won the title under the tuition of William Curley, and you've since gone on to work at the Ritz in London and The Grove, and now you are a self-employed doing consultancy work. You run classes and training, and you've got your own chocolate brand, Gabriella Cungo Chocolatier, with her work being featured in Selfridges. So this is all great stuff. I look forward to hearing a bit more about it. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for having me today.
It's great that you could make it. I'm just going to run through some questions about the whole annual awards. And what first drove you to register and enter the Annual Awards of Excellence? I
was doing my apprenticeship at William Curley, and William and Susan themselves put me forward for the awards. So it's been every year, one or two people in the kitchen are put forward for the awards. And in this 2015 was my year for going through.
Did you find it daunting at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was put forward for this, for the Awards of Excellence, I was an apprentice. I'd not long turned 21, and I just moved to London when I was 19 from Wales. So when I was put forward, I didn't have the skills, experience, and knowledge that I thought I'd be able to even enter something of this caliber. So yeah, for sure, it was daunting, but absolutely worth it. And it was definitely one of the best things I've done in my career. For sure.
And so let's talk through your experience of the awards. I mean, how did you actually prepare for the awards? And obviously you're in a great location working with William Curley. You're in the ideal place, really. But what was your training like?
Training was good. I mean, I got the brief, and training, it was a lot of practice, but it was going through ideas, developing lots of ideas and flavors, and then just putting them to practice. So I'd be training, pretty much every day after work. I took holiday, training then, and then on my days off when I could. So it was a lot of training practice, and I guess that's so important for competitions, to be ready for the day. But it was tough, and it was a lot of work and sacrifice, but it was definitely worth it. And that's a value that I've learned, and I've taken throughout my career and my business now, and I use that. So it really shows that hard work really does pay off. So yeah.
So all that hard work and getting the processes all correct and organised, that's all very well. But how did you deal with the pressure on the day?
Pressure on the day. I mean,
format, the pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of pressure, but I guess you deal with it because you've practiced. I think practicing, having a time plan, knowing what exactly you're doing helps you deal with the pressure. But I mean, I think if you turn the pressure into adrenaline and make it as positive as you can, that shows in your work, and that's kind of how you deal with it. Well, how I did.
Well, it seemed to work. And what about when you found out that you were the highest scorer amongst your peers?
I mean, that was a big shock. I didn't enter this thinking that I would achieve the highest score at all. Like, as I said, I was an apprentice, so I didn't have the skills as I do now, I guess. But it was a big shock, but it meant a huge amount, and it grew my confidence a lot, really. And it's the first time that I'd ever really compared myself to other chefs within the industry, and I was introduced to that. So yeah, I mean, a big shock, but I'm very proud, and it was a great achievement.
Yeah, it's extraordinary, really. And the other thing you touched on there is how you were introduced to other chefs, other people, your peers in other companies you wouldn't have met. So clearly it was a great networking opportunity, I suspect.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like after the competition, after the day, you get to, look around at other people's, your other competitors' work, and then interact with them, speak to the judges, get feedback, and then speak to the other chefs. And also, the gala dinners are a great networking opportunity. So yeah, definitely I've been exposed to a lot more connections and doors opening because of the Awards of Excellence.
Have you kept up with some of those connections since that time? Presumably in the world of history, I guess you'll bump into them again.
Yeah, definitely. The world of pastry and chocolate, we're all quite connected. So there's lots of people connected to the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts that I'm in contact with.
Brilliant. And look, as a privilege of winning the annual Award of Excellence, obviously the 3 highest scorers in the different categories were offered work experience at the Fat Duck, I think, in your year. Is that correct?
I went to the dinner by Heston.
Okay, so within the group, so you went to dinner, and you were sent on an educational trip abroad, courtesy of our sponsor, the Savoy Educational Trust, which is great work that they do supporting what we do. So I understand you went to Los Angeles that year within the Dorchester collection. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, talk me through that a bit.
I mean, that was an incredible experience, as you can imagine, and it was a very generous trip. But I think throughout the whole trip, what I took from that was it's very rare to be in establishments of that, of that luxury and that caliber. And, we stayed at, luckily enough, we stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel for 5 days and the Bel Air Hotel for 5 days. And, it's rare to be a guest in those establishments. And being a guest, you really feel the experience from the other side, and that really helps when you're normally the other side. So it really helps understand the experience and what you expect and what guests expect, and how the little touches really make a difference. That's what I took a lot from through that trip.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it from the other side. And what exposure do you get to their aspects of food and service? You talk about the little touches and so on.
Yeah.
As well as the pastry side of it, you're also looking. You'll be looking at the service and the rest of it. So you're getting a pretty broad perspective of it, and being able to talk amongst your peers, the other 2 winners.
Yeah.
So that must have been quite valuable too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, when I do go to restaurants or hotels, I focus more, you know, I of course enjoy the whole experience, but I focus a lot on pastry because that's my speciality. But it was really great to spend so much time with, you know, the young waiter and the chef of the year, Dorian and Tom, and Sarah and Martin, who were our chaperones, because you see it from their perspective, from the experience, but also they understand their own skill, like with main course, or it's with service, hospitality, and then even, you know, sommelier, because and it's like it was really interesting as well. It's like we would taste wine, and it's very similar to chocolate tasting, for instance. And it was great to get all of that input and the experience of dining out and spending time with them too.
Yeah, that's a great connection to make between the flavor profile of chocolate and wine and so on, pairings and so on. It's back to pastry. Were there anything specifically from the American style of pastry that you'd say is different, or is it presented differently, or
I mean, I think we went to a few Michelin restaurants when we were there, and the standard is different. It's I guess in Europe in general, and in the UK, there's a little bit more refinement. So there is a difference. But I mean, Americans, they know what their audience wants and likes. So it's interesting to find that. So, you know, it's like going to any other country where that, you know, they have a different taste to what we do. So yeah, that's always very interesting to see as well.
Do you feel you were able to take back any particular inspiration or particular ideas from that?
Yeah, I mean, it is like I said, it's always interesting to see what that culture like, or, you know, the Americans like. But it's, you know, there were some unique flavor and combinations that we tried out there. But it was the experiences that highlighted everything. So the service was very good. So that's what I would take a lot from our trip.
And with your, and presumably, obviously, you got along. We had Sarah Jane Staines, our chief executive, and also Martin Nail there.
Yeah.
So presumably, they were both able to give you some sound insights into the into elements of the experience, which must have been helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's great. It's great to spend time with people that have so much experience, and you learn you learn so much from them, which I did. And again, it's, you know, we would all talk about and discuss the experience we're having, and it's great to see what they think compared to what you think, because they're in different they're in different sections of our industry. So I found that very valuable, and they were great.
Did you do this after your working at dinner?
This was before, I think.
Okay. I was just interested to compare the two things, because of course you've got an insight into the American way of doing things, but then also a very specific experience at dinner. Do you want to talk through that a bit?
Yeah, the dinner was very interesting. The way they work was very interesting. They have a good system, and I think when going on work experience these places, it's great to, you know, you obviously have the inspiration, and you watch what they're actually making, but it's, you know, how their kitchen is set up, how they work, the leadership, the management, and all of those things are very important for me to, you know, to take in and learn from as well. But I mean, the desserts were fantastic, and there's a lot of attention to detail, which is also very, very good to learn.
I suppose all the people around us on this Zoom would also probably agree that at this stage in the career, the main thing is to be a sponge and get all that information from everywhere, and get knowledge from wherever you can get it, and just bring it with you wherever you go. So I'm guessing you'd encourage people within the age bracket to go for the annual Awards of Excellence and to give it a try.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With the correct preparation, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like, as I said, I was an apprentice when I did this. So, and I progressed hugely when doing it. You know, from from when I first entered to the semi-final, the progression was huge. And it's like when you are that young and you're an apprentice or demi-chef de partie or a commis, you don't often have creative influence or input to the company you're working for as such. But when you're doing, well, especially when I was doing my competition, I found out what I liked, and I was using my creativity more so, and putting that forward for my competition. So I grew a lot with confidence, and I progressed so much. And I think, I mean, I couldn't recommend this competition or exam enough, because of how much you do learn. It opens lots of doors. The connections you make are fantastic, and it's a great thing to be a part of. And it's really not a scary competition at all.
That's one of the important things, to sort of to get past that first step. I mean, you were very young when you did it, but you got past that, and you had that period of concentrated focus with mentor, and that has given a real boost to your career.
Oh, absolutely. And I've progressed a lot faster than I would have, because I've done competitions. And, you know, knowing how much I did learn within doing the Awards of Excellence actually pushed me to put myself forward for another competition. And that competition, I actually didn't really know how to make one element. You know, it was a chocolate competition, and I had to make a chocolate sculpture, and I hadn't had much experience in that. But I put myself forward because I knew if I put myself forward, I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to be able to. So that progressed me to that, and I did that twice, and I won the last one I did, which was great. And that's why it's competition is not, it doesn't have to be just for competitive people. It's such a great learning curve and experience in itself. Like you learn about time management, you learn about who you are as a pastry chef, and you start, you develop as you.
And with stress as well, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's stressful, but that's how it is, and you've got to put the work in, and it'll be worth it for sure.
Yeah, and it puts you in a good place when you go into maybe a high pressure job afterwards. You've already dealt with that. You've got your processes for getting through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have my own business now, and those skills are definitely with me now, and that's helped me, and it's helped me throughout my career. And you just keep progressing and improving. So yeah.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, because you're talking about skills, and generally the skills that we major on the annual Awards of Excellence are the sort of classical styles. And obviously things evolve, things change. But what are your thoughts on as the basis, the classical styles of the kitchen?
Well, I think most things come from classical techniques and recipes. So I think it's really important to kind of not miss that out, because I think you have to have a good foundation of the basic skills, and that mostly is classical techniques and recipes. And then once you've learned that, you develop further and have your own creativity. But I think it's difficult to be creative and progress from that if you don't have the foundation. So it is important to definitely have a foundation of classical techniques and recipes.
Well, brilliant. Well, that's a great run through your experience of the annual Awards of Excellence, particularly your those two segments you did at dinner and also in the United States. It sounds fantastic. And that doesn't communicate how fantastic it is. I don't know what will. Has anyone got some questions to fire across? We've got I don't know if Yolandi, if you want to sort of, from your vantage point in the world of pastry, if you want to say anything.
Hi. Well, I haven't got any questions, but thank you, Gabriella, for saying your little bit, and it's really nice to see how you've progressed. And I remember very distinctly that you're a great artist, painter. And I think the Awards of Excellence gave you the opportunity to merge the two things, your pastry skills or chocolate skills and your artistry. And that was brilliant to see, and a great advancement for you, which I think you're still using. So well done. And thanks for sort of promoting the Awards of Excellence as you have. You're a great advocate for it. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, yeah, wonderful to hear your stories. And has anyone got any further questions to add?
Yes, I'd like to ask Gabriella a question. Well, actually, there are three questions. Gabriella, your family name, Cugno, which part of Italy is that from?
They're from Sicily.
From Sicily, fantastic.
Yeah, from Sicily, Melilli and Portobello.
Fantastic. I'd like to hear that. Tell me, for somebody who's been very successful and successful enough and privileged enough to start your own business, what are the challenges that you faced from being an employee to opening your own business? I mean, what are the challenges that you faced? How did you face them?
Good question. Challenges are, I guess, it's big change from working with a team to working by yourself. So it's the motivation, self-motivation, which was a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, I'm a motivated person, so that that was okay in the end. But at first, that was a bit of a challenge. But the other things, I guess, it's just the education about the business, where VAT comes in and all the kind of logistics of that. But I mean, there's just the positives weigh out the negatives far too much.
Good, I'm glad. My last question. As you know, that this year we're hoping to launch the MCA, the Master Culinary Arts. Yeah. Are you going to take part?
Maybe not this time, but I definitely want to do it for sure.
Good, well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, it's been lovely listening to you, Gabriella.
Thank you very much.
Richard, I've got a question. You are young. At what stage do you decide to go on your own? And after learning all your professional side, did you have help with the business side?
Yeah, great question. So I became freelance 2 years ago. So yeah, I became freelance in February 2019. I think it's because I'm very ambitious and creative, and having my own business, I can unleash that a little bit more. But also, I come from a family of business owners, so I guess I've had that experience, but nothing food related. But I have had that experience, of living around that. So it's probably in my blood, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. I did it young, which I'm glad about. But yeah, so I decided 2 years ago to do it.
And how old were you then, 2 years ago?
25.
Well, congratulations. It's quite exceptional, because putting the two together is not easy.
Yeah, I mean,
as everyone around the table will tell you. So it's a great achievement. Well done, you.
Thank you very much.
But I thought there had to be some experience somewhere, because I know plenty of people who are very, very talented. But it's one thing being talented, and it's another thing running a business. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's the information, actually, like in schools, and in your job, we're not educated about business that much. So it's been a lot of learning. A lot of learning, especially in our industry as well. But again, the positives outweigh the negatives hugely for me. And yeah, I'm loving it, and it's going very, very well at the moment, considering this year. So yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it.
I've always believed there's three people you've got to make your best friends: the accountant, the lawyer, and the doctor.
True.
Did you find that were you selling online a lot this year?
Yeah, hugely. Well, so my chocolate brand I launched in July 2020. So just under a year. And it's all online at the moment. So it's not something that I've set up just because of COVID. It's the brand I've wanted to do for a very long time. But COVID, well, I've used that as an opportunity to kind of speed up the process as such. But it's been online, yes, mostly. and things have sold out very, very quickly. And I think online is definitely great because you don't have the overheads of a big production kitchen where you need a shop as well. So that's good, and it's a great insight to how things will be progressing within years to come.
So it's kind of push things are already happening in a given a good old shove.
Yeah.
In that direction.
Yeah, definitely. I think in our industry, in our business, we need, I think it's good to make good opportunities of a bad situation. So lots of my consultancy, teaching classes, like I do that internationally. So I was working on a project in Trinidad and Tobago, and that all stopped. So lots of business stopped. So I was like, right, let's do this now. And yeah, went ahead with it, and it's been going from strength to strength.
And do you find your social media is driving that? I mean, are you presumably you're featuring all the different social media elements, and you're finding that's driving it a lot. But I guess Instagram's got to be strong for that.
Yeah, definitely. And social media is really a great tool to use for business, and I use it mostly just for business. And it's a great way because it's a great way to keep in contact with your customers, as well as promoting your new work, and they're quite interested to see behind the scenes of something. So it's all about learning that. I don't really make it an everyday thing where it kind of takes over, but it's very, very good tool. Same as newsletters and word of mouth.
And chocolate translates well into Instagram. It's very visual and appealing.
It is indeed. I mean, chocolate is a magnificent ingredient and product, and it's universally loved. So it's a great industry to be in, the world of chocolate.
Fantastic. Well, great to hear all that. Now, are there any other questions that people have got based on that? And have you got any questions for us, Gabriella?
Any questions for you? Well, yes. When will the next Awards of Excellence be? Do we know if we can do face-to-face competitions yet?
Yeah, well, it'll happen. Obviously, this year is not happening. We've got the annual Awards of Excellence lockdown version.
Yeah.
Obviously, the next years will carry on as before.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll have a lot of pent-up enthusiasm for it, because there'll be people who will be desperate to get back in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll be promoting it.
Oh, we have a question here.
No, it just was crossed about the next year,
Well, out of shot, everyone's fingers are crossed, I think.
Yes.
Okay, well, look, if there are no further questions, I'd just like to say thanks so much, Gabriella. That was really great, a really great insight, and really great encouragement to anyone who's showing the interest in this competition, and the boost that it gives them in all areas of their work. So much appreciated. We really appreciate your time and expertise, and I hope that you enjoyed the interview, and I hope that you stay in touch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.